The Los Angeles Clippers are officially one of the most interesting teams in the entire NBA for a few different reasons. From how much talent's on this roster, to the ceiling of this roster, to the expectations, to the recent moves, they just are a very, very interesting and fun team to keep track of, and I will be getting to all that in this video. And the first thing I want to get into this video is going to be how much talent this team actually has, and it's definitely the reason they make it interesting, from their star talent to their depth. To really start with their star talent, they have guys like Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, Mr. two-time NBA champion, one of the best two-way players when he plays, okay? When he plays, he's an MVP level player, one of the best in the entire NBA. He can do anything he wants on the court. He's basically a robot, Mr. Kawhi the robot. He has a very interesting laugh, but overall, Kawhi is one of the best players in the NBA when he does decide to play, so that's one of the most talented players in the NBA. And then you pair that up aside with Paul George, another great two-way level player who can do anything they want on the court. He's a very good offensive player while being a very solid defender as well. They can both handle the ball. He's very capable of doing it. We saw last year in the playoffs, he kind of carried him a little bit all the way to, I think, the second round? Or the first round. I don't know where he got eliminated, but I know he did very, very good in the playoffs last year, and Paul George really did turn some heads with that playoff performance. And then obviously the big addition, Russell Westbrook, depending on how you would want to say it. Recently he's been Russell Westbrook, fortunately for them, but although obviously not the MVP level self he used to be, where he's picking up triple doubles every day, off the Lakers bench he was still a very, very solid player. And in his first game with the Los Angeles Clippers, he looks very solid as well. And assuming that he does end up kind of taking more of a playmaking, defensive slashing type role for this Clippers team, because they did say they tried to discuss a role that they wanted before actually signing him. So assuming that role has been established for this team and that that's what he's going to be doing, he should fit with his team fairly well, as long as his ego doesn't get in the way or anything like that, which is a possibility that we'll be getting to a little bit later. But from a pure talent perspective, that big three of Kawhi, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook is extremely, extremely fun to theorize how good they could be and how they could actually work together. And another aspect of how talented this team is actually their depth as well. They're a very well-built team. They have guys like Marcus Morris, Ivica Zubac, Terrence Mann, not Trey Mann. Recently acquired Eric Gordon in a trade, Norman Powell, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, Mason Plumlee, Bones Highland. All these players contribute to a lot of depth, and they're all very talented. So they're one of the deeper teams in the entire NBA, as well as having a lot of star talent as well. And anytime you can make those two mix together on a roster, you usually have a pretty high level one, and that is why a lot of people still have them as a contending, at least that being their ceiling. And in my opinion, their ceiling is still the NBA Finals. They could definitely make it in a world. I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow make it out of the Western Conference. Even though I think the Phoenix Suns are better than them, I still think that they could easily make it out of the Western Conference. That's just how good Kawhi, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook could be together, on top of their depth that this team actually does have. The only problem is this tons of loads of talent that they have comes with a little bit of baggage. What do I mean by this? Well, to start off, let's start with Russell Westbrook, the new addition. Russell Westbrook he has a little bit of an ego. He definitely thinks of himself as a superstar, and at a time he was, but he's no longer that. And it could be kind of a Carmelo and Anthony situation where, when they asked Carmelo to come off the bench, he just didn't accept that. And if they try to do the same with Russell Westbrook, now we already seen him not want to come off the bench, but accept coming off the bench. But I'm sure that's not what he wanted to do, and is a big reason probably why the Lakers wanted to trade him, because it probably wasn't great in the locker room type deal. And then also, I don't think Russell Westbrook would have signed with the Clippers if that's the agreement that they went to, as he's already starting for them. So if Russ gets in a situation where his ego could get too big, that could be a pretty big problem for this locker room and for the Clippers, and that wouldn't be great. Now, I think that's going to happen? Probably not, because I think there's already been an established role for him that they talked about before signing him, because there was a few reports on that, so I don't think it should be that big of a problem, but that could be a potential baggage problem. And another one with Kawhi is, he might just decide not to play at some times. Sometimes he's just I don't feel like it. I don't think I'm gonna do that. No. And Kawhi, when he plays, he just picks and chooses. He'll go in stints of never playing, and then he'll go on a 10-15 game stretch, and then he'll rest for about 8 games. And he's very hit or miss if he's going to play or not. It's just kind of like a lottery almost with him if he will play or not. And hopefully he gets that fixed by playoff time and plays the entire playoffs when he gets there. And if he does that, I think this team is going to be very good, but like I said, Kawhi has been known to be very much flight risk on any given day if he's going to play or not. And then as far as Paul George, although he may have kind of conquered these demons last year in the playoffs, the playoff P problems are a legitimate problem, okay? Like, there's Paul George in the regular season, and then there's historically playoff P. And nobody wants to see playoff P appear, okay? We've seen him show up time and time again, okay? And it's never pretty. So if we can just get Paul George from last year paired with Kawhi and Russell Westbrook, that should be a very good deal for success. But if we get playoff P combined with hit or miss Kawhi, combined with Russell Westbrook thinking he's a superstar, you could really run into some problems, especially when you're in a playoff series. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And with having this talent, you're going to get egos involved, and you're going to always going to have baggage if you're going to have this high-level talent on a roster. Hopefully they can work it out. Hopefully the chemistry is good, and hopefully this baggage doesn't come back to bite them. But like I said, although they are very talented, they also have their drawbacks as well, just like any other team with a lot of talent on it. But now as far if I think they're contenders or not. Now, contending could mean a few different things. Does that mean, do I think they can make the finals? Because in that case, I could see that. Because the only other team that stands in their way, really, in the West, when they're fully healthy, is probably a fully healthy Denver team and a fully healthy Phoenix Suns team. And I think they're the only team in the West that kind of stacks up with Phoenix because they have a much better bench. They're way deeper while also being able to match them with talent, because I think Kawhi at his best is on the same level as Kevin Durant at his best. I think Paul George is probably better than Devin Booker if they're both at their best. And then I think that someone like Russell Westbrook could really be an X factor. And I think at this point, Russell Westbrook can provide more than Chris Paul, but it really just depends on how things would work out. I could see either one of those teams beating each other. And also, like I said, the Los Angeles Clippers have a much better bench than Phoenix, so that could be a huge part as well in a 7-game playoff series if it would go to that far. And then as far as the Denver Nuggets, I think although Nikola Jokic would probably be the best player on that floor, I don't think Jamal Murray is anywhere as near Paul George or Kawhi, and both of their benches are fairly good. I would actually give it the edge to the Clippers, so I think they would have a pretty good chance in that series as well. So I do think that they can make it out of the West. The problem lies in the Eastern Conference, because that's where you find like the two final bosses, okay? You have on one final boss, you have the Boston Celtics, and then the next final boss, you have the Milwaukee Bucks. And although I think they match up better with the Boston Celtics, I don't think they would win because they may have more star talent than the Celtics, but these Celtics are probably the best built team. They have a defensive player of the year in Marcus Smart, one of the best veteran bigs in Al Horford. Robert Williams is one of the best rim protectors, athletic guys in the entire league. He just does everything you ask him to do. Their bench is insane with guys like Brogdon and Derek White, Sam Hauser. They're insanely built as well. And then the Milwaukee Bucks, I think Giannis would be not by far, but he would be the best player on that court. Then you add the fact that I think Drew Holiday would be able to guard Russell Westbrook pretty well. Chris Middleton and Paul George could kind of cancel each other out. And I think the Milwaukee Bucks have a very good bench as well. I think they would struggle to beat either one of them, and I would probably give the edge to either one of those teams out of the East. So do I think they can make the finals? Yes. Do I think they can win the finals? Most likely not. Now, I think there is probably a world where they can, but a lot of things would have to go their way. Dominoes would have to fall their way for sure, and I just don't think that that's going to happen. But do I think they can make the finals? Yes, I think there's more of a chance they make the finals and lose than it would be that they make the finals and win, that's for sure. But I also don't think they will make the finals. I think they'll probably make like the second round of the conference finals, and that's their peak, but there's definitely a world where they can make it out of the West. But unfortunately, guys, that's where this video. So down below, do you agree with me? Do you think that the Los Angeles Clippers can make the finals? Do you think they will win the finals? Do you think they will work out? I want your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like the point, hit the like button and the subscribe button. It would mean the absolute word to me, and hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day. So you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah.